time, we have 27 candidates running for 9 seats on the Charter Commission. Now, it's not an automatic that approval of the question, a yes vote, would create a new form of government. It has to be reviewed by this commission. And if the vote doesn't pass, then the members who are running, they won't be doing anything, I guess. But except for the enlightenment of the citizens. Saugus Advocate reached out to all 27 candidates, and 25 by email, 2 by phone, and we have, last 2 nights, we've listened to 16 distinguished citizens with all sorts of backgrounds and some of the best expertise in local government in the town. And tonight we have, looks like we got some heavies as far as long-time experience, and we'll hear from them in a couple of minutes. We will have 3 questions, and hopefully by the end of the evening, the viewer and the people in the audience will know a little bit more about what's on the ballot for the November 7th election. Okay, and first question to Peter Rossetti. He's a town meeting member, but a long-time participant in local government in Saugus. I think he goes back 4 or 5 decades. Peter, why are you running? And do you see a need for change in government?
Thank you, Mark.
3 minutes.
My name is Peter Rossetti, Jr. I'm not usually the first one to speak, so I just want to take a second and say thank you to Mark and the Advocate and Saugus Cable for putting this presentation on this evening. I've been a lifelong resident of Saugus. I'm a parent, a business owner, and a taxpayer. I've represented Saugus citizens for more than 30 years in town meeting, more than 25 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Northeast Folk School Committee, more than 10 years on the Planning Board, and 4 years as a member of the Board of Selectmen, 2 of those years as chairman. I also served on the Saugus Chamber of Commerce for many years. I say all this to show that I think I know Saugus and understand what the citizens of Saugus are looking for. The citizens deserve the best government possible. What is the best government possible? It's one where there's a well-informed citizenry. In the past, I don't think the present system has kept the people as informed as they should be. So that's the reason why I'm running. Excuse me. I would like to see the consideration of a new charter, and I'll go into that a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Selectman Mike Serino is next. Also a long-time participant in Saugus government.
Thank you, Mark. And I want to first of all thank the Saugus Advocate and the SCTV for sponsoring this forum tonight. My name is Michael Serino and candidate for the Charter Commission. My public service record includes Board of Selectmen, town meeting member, chairman of the Board of Assessors, chairman of the Conservation Commission, and vice chairman of the Town Meeting Charter Committee in 2009. I decided to run for our Charter Commission because of the move to change our town to a city. And make no mistake about it, to elect a town manager, you have to change your town to a city. This change would replace 50 elected town meeting members and 5 selectmen with an elected 9-member city council. Budgets that now require 26 votes from town meeting would only need 5 votes from a city council. That's 5 people representing 28,000 Saugus residents. Zoning bylaws that require 34 votes from town meeting would only need 6 votes from a city council. So I think with town government, you have more residents that are participating in the decision-making process. In regards to appointed versus elected officials, under our town form of government, in order to appoint a qualified town manager, 4 votes out of the 5-member Board of Selectmen are needed to originally hire a manager. And that manager reports to the Board of Selectmen on a daily basis. It might not be all, every day. It might be just one day, 2 another day. However, with a city form of government, the top position, the mayor, manager, whatever you want to call him, he's elected. Consequently, it becomes a popularity contest in which the winner might not be qualified. For 4 years, that unqualified person doesn't have to report to anybody. So in closing, I do not support changing the town to a city, but I feel that any proposed charter changes to our current town charter, which is good to look at our current town charter and review it, but I think they should be made within a town meeting process. If residents do not approve, I do approve a charter commission. I feel it's important that people with some government experience have a seat at that table, and that's why I'm running. There's a lot of people in this race. I don't even know who they are. They've never been
30
involved.
seconds to close.
They've never been involved in town government before, and I don't think I think it's pretty dangerous. I don't think it's a good idea. I think maybe they would want to start off as a town meeting member before they get involved in something like this. But thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Our next speaker, another longtime local government official who's currently the chair of the school committee, Vincent Serino.
Yeah, I'd like to also thank the advocate, Mark, and thank Saugus TV. My name is Vince Serino. I'm running for Charter Commission for the betterment of Saugus, right? This thing, right, we need to take the personal attacks out of this question. I look at all the people up here today, right? All these people serve, the people out in the audience, all have served Saugus, right? They contribute to the town, they serve on boards, they run for everything. We should be discussing ways to move Saugus forward, not going after people because you don't like them. We should discuss the merits of staying a town versus becoming a city. And the fact is, we cannot have an elected town administrator. Administrators are appointed unless the city or town is in receivership, like Chelsea, which is a different issue altogether. And the town board serves as the executive branch, or there is a mayor elected in city council dynamics, which Mr. Serino just explained. There's a difference. At this point, I don't see a need to change our form of government. However, I'm willing to listen to the values of changes. But the most important thing at the end of the day is how does it benefit Saugus? And how does it benefit the residents of Saugus? When we look at this and we look at, hey, we're going to change the charter to do this and that, let's not look at inside personally how it affects us. Let's look at it as how it affects a community as a whole. What does it do for the people that live in our town? So that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Vin. Our next speaker is I guess he's referred to as a head lion, Saugus Lions Club, but he's also one of the leaders in moving Saugus Forward Committee. And Anthony Speziale, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to the Saugus Advocate. My name is Anthony Speziale, a longtime resident and a longtime business owner. I'm running for a spot on the Charter Commission to get involved with the government and to do what I can to help out Saugus. When the signature pages were out to put the commission on the ballot, I heard polarizing opinions and hidden aspirations about what would happen to Saugus. So I wanted to get involved instead of rendering an uninformed opinion. But what it comes down to this: the Charter Commission is a committee elected solely to review the present town charter. A committee to review the charter over a period of 18-24 months adapting to the current situations and to benefit Saugus, and then recommend any changes to provide the changes to the residents for voter approval. Now, what I believe the Charter Commission is not, it is not to change the form of government. It is not to be a prelude to forming a city. I personally do not want Saugus to be a city. And it is not to eliminate town or precinct positions and representation. So, as simple as I can, probably because of my background, it's much like the important documents in your life, such as wills, such as your financial records, any trusts. They need to be reviewed and updated if needed from time to time, because stuff happens and situation change. So anyway, I'm new to any political office, so I can offer new objective ideas and recommendations. This is to collectively keep Saugus moving, and we can make great even greater. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Our next speaker, Thomas Travers, town meeting member, and also very active in local government and volunteer.
Thank you, Mark. First off, I want to thank the Advocate and Saugus TV for sponsoring these forums. The reason that I want to join this committee is I'm a Saugonian. Saugus is what I do. I belong to, my experience is I'm chairman of the Board of Appeals. I've served 10 or more years as a town meeting member. I'm on the Disabilities Commission, and that's just at the beginning of the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. I believe there should be some change. We wrote a charter in the 1940s, and here it is, 2023, without a lot of change. I'm hearing different opinions. We're all confused a little bit. I can hear some people I respect saying, if we elect a town manager, we have to become a city. I'm hearing from the other end, and I've seen verbal correspondence that we don't have to become a city if we elect a town meeting. So we're waiting for verification that in writing. I don't know which end. I do feel that there's nothing wrong with democracy, and if we elect a town manager, that just makes him, him or her will certainly be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just we will answer to the people directly. I think that there's other areas that have to be looked in. I think there should be a separation of power. Right now, the town manager just has too much power. It should be spread out between the selectmen, the town meeting, and the town manager, and we should move forward. There's nothing wrong with the people who are running the town of Saugus, but we need a new constitution, and that's a new charter. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Our next speaker, he's probably the youngest of the candidates and town meeting member, and he's also been very active in local government in a short period of time, his involvement. Joe Vecchione.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you and STC TV putting on these forums. Also appreciate you putting on the Saugus Over Coffee the last several months for town meeting members and people to engage with their government. Those are efforts to get voters informed prior to the vote is invaluable. So thank you for that. I'm Joe Vecchione, and yes, I am the youngest candidate running for Charter Commission. I'm an architect by trade, and I'm a lifelong Saugus resident, raised in a young family on Baker Hill in Precinct 2. I have two young daughters, Amelia and Aurora, my wife Katie, and Boston Terrier, Porter. My wife also told me, as we locked in a low interest rate, that we're living in Saugus forever, dying in this house, so I'm here to stay. I'm also one of the few candidates that's not seeking an elected or appointed position in town or employed by the town. I think this perspective is crucial to this commission and this process, as my generation and the government's generations that succeed me will be the ones to shape what Saugus becomes. How our government functions will certainly be a critical piece in how our town evolves over time. It's important, and this was mentioned the last several nights, this process is objective. When I'm 65 years old, Most of the politicians you see here tonight and in the previous nights will no longer be serving the town. With the dialogue that's been hyper-focused on the political dynamics in Saugus, which in itself is toxic, it's certainly distracted from what the North Star of this commission should be. How does this change in the charter improve the function of our government and better serve the residents of Saugus? There'll certainly be a candidate that is independent and will align and realign to that goal throughout this process as needed. I don't support people, I support ideas. To be transparent, and if you haven't noticed, I'm someone that's rather jaded by our political landscape, but here I am running for Charter Commission. And what inclined me to run was the unique opportunity to study ways to improve on the agility, proactiveness, and communication in our government based on my personal experience within it, not secondhand information or political strife that we often turn to in Saugus. What were the sore spots, the inefficiencies, communication gaps, and frustration based what I encountered as someone who broke into government 4 years ago, seeking meaningful progress as a lifelong stakeholder. I also think periodically studying our charter is a healthy thing. I do think that the ultimate proposal to the residents needs to be a collaborative effort and a compromise between people that may not have just differing views, but sometimes polar opposite positions on many matters. And I certainly know a few of us exist on this panel today and in the past couple of days. Whether the proposed changes are minor in scope or major reforms, that's not up for me to decide. It's up for us as a commission and us as a community to decide. We're just scratching the surface in this 3-night debate, and there are years of discussions and compromises ahead of us. But overall, I hope members keep an open mind rather than obstruct, advise, rather than simply push ideas, listen. That's the only path to a deliverable that we're proud of as a town. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And our next speaker, town meeting member Judy Worthley.
One of the oldest. He's one of the youngest, I'm one of the oldest.
Who's been active with the Council on Aging and volunteer groups in Saugus. Judy?
Thank you, Mark, and again, thank you for this terrific forum. Yeah, I am going to be, I guess, the last speaker in this group, considering my name is a W. I'm surely hoping that the expression, the last should be first, applies to me. I believe that all governing documents should be reviewed and possibly revised on a regular basis. I worked 38 years at Melrose Wakefield Hospital, and my department reviewed and sometimes revised policies and procedures on a regular basis. It always helped the hospital to move forward to do that. And usually, although change is hard, it's for the best. As far as what I want to see change, I intend that if I am elected, to begin the process with a completely open mind. I look forward to many meetings with not only the commission, but mostly and importantly, the town residents. The input is the most important from them in the whole process. I have heard some candidates say that they don't want the town to become a city. That is never the reason that I began to run for this commission. Changes can be made that certainly won't change our town to a city. I will always do what's in the best interest of the town. I'm grateful for all the wonderful friends and people I have in this town, and you could be sure I'll always put them first. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Second question of the evening. Peter Rossetti, what makes you best qualified to serve on this 9-member commission if it's created by the town voters on November 7th?
As an attorney, insurance broker, and Boy Scout, Eagle Scout as a matter of fact, I spent and have spent most of my time planning for worst possible situations. You need to be prepared for unexpected events. Be prepared is the Boy Scout motto. When I collaborate with clients, I always tell them you have to plan now, but then you have to review those plans in the future. When I was chairman of the Saugus Board of Selectmen, the town was faced with some serious financial problems. We tried to be creative to try and find solutions. As a result of that, Saugus became the first community to join the GIC, which is the state insurance program at the time, and it helped Saugus avoid a financial takeover. Through town meeting over the years, I and many others have helped make changes. Our charter, which is the constitution or governing document for the town, was created many years ago. At the time, it served us well, but over the course of years, things have changed. For instance, look at our federal constitution. The founding fathers didn't consider things like airplanes and automobiles when it was written. Yearly, there are changes to the Constitution presented through the Supreme Court because of change. If you look at your own lives, what has changed over the last 20, 30 years in your life? Did you grow up, go to school, get jobs, get married, have children, lose relatives? All those things mean changes. A town is like that also. When things change, you must adapt or you will lose. The charter hasn't changed materially in many, many years, but the environment around it has changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next speaker, Mike Serino. What makes you best qualified to serve on this 9-member commission?
Well, I believe certainly my decades of public service. Like I said, I was on the Board of Selectmen. I'm finishing up my 14th year. Town meeting member, chairman of Board of Assessors, chairman of the Conservation Commission, planning board member. But also I was vice chairman of the Town Meeting Charter Committee. And Peter was on the committee with me. He served as chairman. I was the vice chairman, representing the Board of Selectmen at the time. We've made some good charter changes in that change in 2009. We made the Board of Selectmen chief policymakers. We implemented a 5-year capital plan that has to be updated yearly. And the selectmen, the former town manager wanted to put cell towers, wanted to lease ball fields out, put cell towers up. And we decided to make a charter change that any leasing of town property would require approval from the Board of Selectmen. But most communities, and that's why I said in my opening speech, I was worried about people with no experience in government. Everybody up here tonight certainly has that experience, but there are some that don't. Most communities have a town meeting charter committee written.
Speak a little louder, please.
Pardon?
Speak into the mic, please.
Most communities in their charters have a standing charter committee that reviews their charters periodically, like every 3 to 5 years, and that's what I believe we should have in our charter. Town meeting charter committees really have experience in government where some people don't. So that's a change that I would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next speaker, Vincent Serino, 2 minutes on what makes you the best qualified to run for this commission.
Sure, so I think what makes me qualified is I'm 4th generation Saugonian. I've been in this town my whole life. I raised my family here. My kids grew up here. I know Saugus. In the one thing why I think that I'm best qualified for this, because I care about Saugus and I care about its residents. And I think I'm open-minded enough to listen to what's being proposed, what possibly could be proposed. I've read the charter a couple times. Can there be tweaks? Absolutely, like everything else. It's a living document, right? We can do things to make it better. But to make major changes at this point, I don't think that's the way to go. Listen, I ran a successful business for many years in Stoneham. I own properties in other towns and in cities, so I know the difference between a city versus a town form of government. I've dealt with the municipalities. I've dealt with the leaders in these towns. So I understand the difference, and there's pluses on both sides. It's, like I said, at the end of the day, is I care. I truly care, and I think all of us up here do. So it's not that I'm saying I don't care more than the next guy. I think I have a good, unique vision and focus of what this town is and what the people in the communities are asking and looking for. Being chair of the school committee, I get a million questions every day. I hear from parents all the time. And not all of these questions that come to me are about the schools. They're about the town as a whole. So I think I have a unique perspective in that. So.
Thank you, Vinny. Anthony, what makes you best qualified to be in the commission?
Well, I'm new. I've never held political office, but I am not new to serving the community. Those that know me, I'm involved in several nonprofits, past and present. I have an extensive financial background. Besides being King Lion, I'm an enrolled agent tax accountant and a financial advisor. I can recommend unbiased inputs, such as to town finances, economic development, zoning, to name a few, to position the town to take advantage of opportunities. Now, I don't have any political experience, but there are those running that have much experience. I've worked with some of you in various capacities. I listen objectively, compromise, and work out solutions. Where I have no political aspirations, but only to see the town continue to progress. I welcome the opportunity to work with you and to learn from all of you. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Tom Travers?
Yes, I think what sets me apart is that I can get along pretty much with all different factions. We have some people that are really isolated. Let's call them political enemies, what they are. They can't even get along in a room. I can go to lunch with one guy one day, breakfast with another guy, then they know what they're talking about. And breakfast with one guy one day, lunch with his arch enemy that afternoon, and then that evening I'm out with another one that doesn't get along with either one of them. I think it can help bring different factions of the town together because I don't make enemies. I try to work with all different people.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Joe Vecchione, 2 minutes.
Thanks, Mark. As I said earlier, I'm one of the few people not running or not seeking an elected or appointed position or employed by the town, and I think that separation is important to take an objective look at our government and its function, not be in a position of power. With that, I'm coming off of 4 years in government as a town meeting member, member of the planning board, chairman of the Cliftondale Revitalization Committee, member of the Sidewalk Committee, and member of the Town Manager's Economic Development Committee, though the latter not meeting for a couple years now. During my time in government, I was very active putting forth articles before town meeting. I attended various meetings both in Saugus and Revere for various boards and committees. I was writing reports, including the final report of the Cliftondale Revitalization Committee that was posted on the town's website, and engaged with residents through public forums and candid discussions throughout my 4 years. I'm persistent. I ask a lot of questions and seek answers in a timely manner. I like to think I'm matter of fact, fair, and rational. If I don't understand something, I do my homework and I'll educate myself on it. Based on my experience and interactions throughout the past 4 years, I think I have a good pulse of where our government works well and where we can improve. Furthermore, I also seek feedback from those outside of the political circle to get their perspective on how government is working for them. Oftentimes I notice there's a slight disconnect between those inside and outside of that circle. Lastly, through my profession, again, I'm an architect. I regularly engage with various town managers, administrators, mayors, select boards, city councils, along with both elected and appointed planning boards, ZBAs, and department heads across the region. I think that experience is relevant and valuable here. It provides a different perspective and layer to this discussion and provides a benchmark as to what processes are more efficient and equitable than others, which boards function well, and what practices or structures can be brought to Saugus that do not currently exist. Sometimes you need to look outwards rather than live in your own bubble, and I think that's an important consideration in this commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Judy,
Thank
makes
you.
you best qualified to serve on this commission? 2 minutes.
Thank you. I've lived in Saugus with my husband Roger for almost 44 years. My sons Stephen and Colleen, his wife, live in Saugus, as well as my 2 wonderful grandsons, Drew and Ian. Our other son is a captain and a physician in the United States Navy, and we're all very proud of him. I've been a town meeting member for 6 years, presently running for re-election in Precinct 9. My involvement in town meeting has educated me in the town's budget and other issues that face the community. I have served as a board member and secretary on the Council on Aging for many years. Trust me, if anyone wants to hear about the town of Saugus, they need to talk to residents who have been here for 60, 70, and 80 years. I listen to them a lot. I don't have any degrees, but one thing I do know I have is the ability to listen and communicate. That, in my opinion, is so necessary and will make me a better member for the Charter Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And for the last question of the evening, the closing statement, and briefly summarize the major changes you want to see and explain why they are needed. Peter Rossetti.
First, I'd just like to correct something. I did not serve on the prior Charter Commission, and I was not the chairman of it. I believe that honor and distinction went to another Peter. When the Charter Commission was proposed last time, I was opposed to it. I didn't think it was a good idea for Saugus because I didn't think Saugus was ready to become a city. What was suggested was a city form of government that had much more centralized administration. Fewer people were making decisions for the town. I'm still not convinced that a city form of government is best for Saugus, but I am willing to keep an open mind and investigate the possibilities. I do think our present system could benefit with some changes. A more communicative administration would be very beneficial to the citizens. I don't think citizens get the response from the town that they need to. I come from an Italian family. In Italian families, family is very, very important. The next level up is the town. We're very passionate about towns. Above that is your country, and obviously we're passionate about that. It's very important for citizens to feel a link to their town, to feel like they matter to the town, that they're listened to by the town. I'm not sure that exists at the present time. I think also the possibility of staggered elections, which again was something that I was opposed to, but now I'm reconsidering that and thinking that is something that should be looked into at this point. The idea of a charter and a charter review is a positive thing for Saugus. I think it's something that's necessary. At this point, I would ask the citizens of Saugus to give me one of their 9 votes on election day. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Mike Serino.
Thank you, Mark. I don't think any wholesale change is needed, like going from a town to a city. I'm opposed to that, like have been saying for several months now. I honestly believe with a city form of government, you have less participation. In town government, you have more participation with Saugus residents. And I think you have a greater transparency and accountability in a town form of government. But like I said earlier, I think we should include in our charter the formation of a standing town meeting charter committee. to review our town charter every 3 to 5 years. I think if we had that in there, we might not be at this point tonight. So most communities have that in their charter, and that's what I would support right now. And until if I'm fortunate enough to get on the committee, I'd like to hear from residents and first before I offer any more suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Vincent Serino.
Thank you. I appreciate this night. This is great. Thanks again. After reading the charter several times, I'm not ready to make any major changes. Like Mr. Rossetti said, staggered elections might be something to look at. There might be things to look at. And but being from an Italian family, like 90% of this town, I think, we understand what that is all about. The other thing is the changes we make would need to benefit the citizens and the residents of Saugus. And that's where my priorities are, with the citizens and residents of Saugus. I think we need to focus on them and focus really, if this is what we're talking about, becoming a city, I think we're going to get input from them, because that's the people we're talking about, and that's the people we represent. The other thing I would just ask all the voters to do when it comes to this charter commission is just to do your own research, not to believe everything you hear is fact. Call the Secretary of State's office, get on their website. The voters can also go to Mass General Law website, Chapter 43B, and get all the information they need on charter commissions and the regulations and what needs to happen in charter commissions. I think informing yourself as a voter is the most important thing you can do, especially on something like this. The Secretary of State will pick up the phone, they'll talk to you, their website is interactive, and ask those questions. Get the facts for yourself. So, and as I said, I'm open-minded to everything, and I appreciate, again, the time.
Thank you, Vinny. Next speaker, Anthony.
Thank you. So over the past 3 nights, there were many good ideas that were presented. Now, as for my thoughts, my first issue I would like to address is to have public forums, much like you had with Saugus over coffee. This is to get the residents' input and have them heard. Even with the progress Saugus has, you can't allow the town to become stagnant. Rather, listen to the residents, because there have been many suggestions that might get overlooked. I would also like to propose staggered elections for all offices, and also electing the town manager. Also, too, to have short periodic independent reviews of all offices and the charters. This is instead of just having one large big audit when a problem exists, and that can be lengthy and costly. These reviews will provide accountability, checks and balances, and keep the public trust. I know this would come as a cost, but as they say, an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. However, the residents have the say. If you are satisfied on how things are, vote no. If you want to see well thought out recommendations, of which you will be a part of, vote yes and be a part of it. You have the final say on what is recommended through your vote. So I thank you for your time, and my best to all the candidates, and good luck. I'm Anthony Speziale, and I ask you that you consider me as one of the positions.
Thank you, Anthony. Next speaker, Tom.
Yes, I want to see Saugus remain in town. I think the town meeting is the purest form of democracy. I think I get excited every time that I come into town meeting and see, they're my friends. They're my fellow citizens, my friends, and we work together for the town. I think people are already making conclusions before we even hear back. I've heard verbally from the Attorney General's office that Saugus can remain in town if we elect a town meeting member, if we elect a town manager. Excuse me. Yet I'm hearing from other people that's absolutely not. So we'd like at least a ruling from the town man, from the Attorney General to say which it is. I don't think we should just make the conclusion up front that we cannot do something when I'm being told by the Attorney General's office that we can. That doesn't make sense to me, and I think we should all be open-minded. But I think there's too many people, we've just already decided, no, you can't do that. It's the way it is. Well, why has the Attorney General's office verbally said that you can remain a town? You can still have town meeting and elect a town manager. Now, I'm not even saying that's what we want to do. I think it's something that we should study. I think that an elected official has more accountability to the public than people who are appointed or chosen by another group of people. And that's pretty much, I'm not looking for big changes. I am looking also to change that the town manager has the ultimate power. He controls almost everything. And he's not even an elected official. He's appointed by the Board of Selectmen. That power needs to be switched around somewhat. The selectmen should have more power. Town meeting should have more power. The town manager shouldn't be the prime policymaker for the community. And when you go to the election that day, remember bottoms up, because alphabetical order doesn't help us at the back of the alphabet. So I would hope you would look from the three of us down this end of this panel all agree. Start at the bottom and read the names up. Okay? And I'm proud to be one of 27, even if I didn't put forth the best speech tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Was it rehearsed?
Joe Vecchione?
Thanks, Mark. I do think it's premature to, prescribe major changes without collaborating as a group and as a community. I know there'll be public forums if the Charter Commission is established. But I had a few things that I'd like to study, but these are by no means a prescriptive approach. For one, I really love the aspiration of increased citizen engagement. I've heard some thoughts on the process improvements in the last couple of days that I agree with, but as identified 14 years ago and still relevant today, there's simply a lack of interest in local government right now. Some of that is a regional issue. We're not on an island. Part of that is a Saugus issue. Coming from that younger generation, there's not a lot of people my age that want to run, and a big reason for that is stuff you'll see on Facebook, stuff you'll see come out of meetings. It's not great. So I don't think there's a lack of opportunity to participate in our government. An example was Saugus Over Coffee, which was hosted by Mark, and it consistently lacked citizen participation, but more so and more problematic, it consistently lacked town meeting member participation. I think expanding town meeting, as some have proposed, is a good idea in theory, but I don't think it would yield the results that would improve on our current process. Last election, we had half a town meeting run unopposed, which is not an uncommon sight here. 32% of town meeting members were absent from our last meeting in June. We have members voting on their own contracts, members that show up with budgets still in their packets, and some that have not read the supplemental material to best inform their vote. Committed and informed representation matters more to me than quantitative representation. If higher numbers are the goal, we could move to an open town meeting where any resident can show up and vote on any article, but I also don't think that's a process improvement. In 2009, after 65 meetings, the previous Charter Commission proposed a 27-member town assembly. 2 members would represent each of the 10 precincts and the rest at large with the presiding president. This body would be bound by the conflict of interest law. It would create more competitive elections, and candidates would be more well-known, more accountable, and easier for the public to understand who and what they are voting for. I'm not saying this is the solution, but I'm saying that direction, which I know there was a lot of information in that 2 years of study. I just think it's, these better solve for the issues identified more so than expanded body or an open town meeting. Secondly, I'd also like to explore delegation of roles and responsibility where department heads can have a little bit more autonomy on issues pertaining to the department rather than all workflow funneling through a single office. which in cases has inhibited reasonable response times for several issues. And lastly, coming from the planning world, I see a ton of potential in Saugus. With development and economic growth often at the forefront of discussion, I'd like to explore mechanisms that encourage a more proactive response to the issues that we face. This could be moving to an elected planning board, or even establishing a charter-mandated, active, and elected strategic planning and development committee made up of citizens and supported by the planning department, with the goals being to audit and update zoning bylaws that stay agile to our ever-changing needs, enhance and support our economic growth on, but especially off Route 1, be proactive and respond to state-mandated housing requirements to maintain control of our town, rather than relinquishing that control to the state, as was the case for Saugus Ridge. And lastly, ensure alignment with our recently adopted $100,000 master plan that include a year-long outreach effort and action items. There's just a few things I'd like to study, but again, I'm not approaching this commission as a list of non-starters. By voting for me, you'll get someone who will do their homework, be present, be open-minded, bring ideas, and stay objective to ensure any change benefits the residents of Saugus. Thank you for your time, Mark. I appreciate you putting this together.
And finally,
Finally.
the one lady on the panel tonight, you have the last word.
Thank you. I usually do. As I've said, I want to begin this process with a very open mind. I've heard candidates say that they are not for changes in the charter, but would like to have you vote for them. I don't quite understand that reasoning. If you don't go with an open mind, then I don't think this process is for you. If there were an argument, the only argument is that this charter changes will be to make the town a city. Well, then there's no argument at all, because that's not what I certainly got involved with running. I do believe that having the charter commission on the ballot is going to excite voters, and we're probably going to see more voters than we have in quite a while, because out in the community it is being talked about, and that's a really good thing. I love this town. I'm grateful for all of the friends I have here, and I hope you will consider one vote for me at the very end. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, and I want to thank the panelists tonight, the 7 candidates who took the time to come out here tonight and to speak to the, thank you for the people in the audience and people at home, and hopefully concluding that these 3 nights that the voters of Saugus are more enlightened about the ballot question for November 7th. And if anything, win or lose, you're really not no loss, because you've elevated the level of discussion about how to improve town government. And just in the same token, it's good once in a while to take a step back and look at it. And if this improves, if this motivates more people to show up at the polls, if this motivates more people to participate in the process in Saugus, then the whole thing was worth it, no matter how the vote comes down on November 7th. And what I've heard in the last 3 evenings, a ton of expertise for some very dedicated public servants, volunteers, and they want to volunteer their time, to look at the possible changes in the Constitution. Now, I'm hoping to see a big turnout on November 7th, and hopefully this does accomplish that. Thank you very much.
Time's up, Mark.
The final night of Saugus Over Coffee, Precinct 10 is going to be featured in the community room at the Saugus Public Library on Monday night. And if you have free time, come down and watch it. We're expecting a big turnout. in standing room only. Okay. But get out and vote on November 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Good job. Good job.